September 3rd this year made it 1 year working at ThisDot, my first full-time job. Poof! Congratulations, Dillion. I mean, one day I'm really going to get very good at YouTube and visual effects, and I can really do something real like sparkles. But yeah, just take this for now. So welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you're new here, my name is Dillion, and on my space here I talk about tech, software engineering, career, life, my experience with life, all of your favorite web technologies, tools and frameworks. And if you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe. So in this video I want to share my experience or share the things that I've learned working as a software engineer at ThisDot. And by the way, if you want to know how I got in my application and how I got into working in ThisDot, you can check out this video I'm sharing here, as I shared the details there. So in this video I want to share what I've learned, because in job descriptions, just like I used to think when I was looking for a job, you see companies specifying you need 1 year or 2 years professional experience. Before I started working as a full-time engineer, I used to work as a freelancer, and I felt like all of those counted for professional experience. But what I got to realize working at ThisDot was all of those things were just development experience. Like, I was good at front end, yeah, and the framework I use the most, React. So I felt like all of those counted for the 2 years experience or 3 years experience that the company was demanding for. But having worked at ThisDot, I got to realize that there are other things that count as work experience or professional experience than just building websites. So I want to share all of it here, and the 4 things, I mean, I've learned a lot, but the 4 things I want to share is: number 1, how I got better at communication; number 2, how I got better at taking ownership of a project, not really management, just participating; number 3 is how I started selecting tasks for myself; and then number 4 is how I got beyond just using React to also using other web technologies. Communication. Communication is one very important aspect of being a professional engineer, whatever angle you're working on, the front and the back and whatever. Communication is very important. Communication when there are changes to be made, communication when you are blocked on something, communication when you are building something, when you are picking up a task. Different ways of communicating where you are carrying everyone in your team along. So these are places that I never knew I was lacking. I mean, working with clients, I was giving the clients feedback based on milestones and maybe things to accomplish within the week. But working in a team environment, one place I really failed at the beginning was communication, where I would be blocked with something. I'm working on a task and there's this big blocker and I do not communicate, and then after spending maybe a lot of time on it, and then that's when I finally come out, okay, I am having issues with this. And yeah, that was one of it. Communication, there were times where I'm to pick up something and then there is a delay. Maybe I was working on something else, and instead of communicating with my direct manager that, okay, I cannot pick up this right now, I'm currently doing this, I failed to do that, and then I'm working on this other thing, and then my direct manager reaches out to me for update, and I'm like, oh, I went this one and I haven't touched this one yet. Those were places that over time I got to realize I wasn't doing well there. And yeah, those are things that I started working on, where there is this constant update of, okay, this is my progress on this is my progress on that, okay, right here I am blocked with this, can anyone help? I'm currently trying to fix it, but I would need somebody's help. All of those kind of things that makes you work in the time allocated for that task without exceeding or overly exceeding it. The number 2 thing here is taking ownership of a project, and this also is influenced by active communication. I remember one project I was working on, and every meeting we had, I was always quiet, I was always silent until there was a specific question for me, until there was a, okay Dillion, how much have you done? Okay Dillion, do you have any blockers? Okay Dillion, do you have any ideas? Do you have any suggestions? I mean, until there's that question, everybody in the meeting keeps talking and discussing with themselves, and I'm just mute until it's my turn. Until one particular time, the team lead was like, okay, Dillion, you are leading the next meeting. And I was like, how do you want me to go about that? So he was like, don't worry, I'm going to guide you, but you must lead this one. And then we finally got to lead. And then at that particular moment, I felt this ownership. I felt this, I'm doing something, I am participating in this thing. I was, I was sharing my screen, so I was literally the one coordinating the whole meeting. And yes, from then there was a second time where I was required, or I was told to do it. I did it, and then when it was the third time, I was the one that suggested that, okay, I want to take it, I want to lead this time around, I want to coordinate the meeting. So yeah, that way I felt this ownership where I wasn't just going to the Trello board, picking out tasks to work on, but I was contributing my own ideas. I was contributing my own tips, like, okay, we can use this tool for this, we can use this tool for that. The me before, whenever I'm working on a task and then there is this use React to do this, I would just use React. I was just about getting the job done. But then when that sense of ownership came, it got better, where even when I was told to use React, I could be like, instead of using React, how about we use Vue? I mean, Vue can make these other places more easy and all of that. So yes, ownership was another thing I learned working at ThisDot. The third point now is getting tasks for myself. This is also still influenced by taking ownership of a project. Before, when I was working on tasks, I just go to the Trello board and pick whatever I see there. Just like I said, I just wanted to get the job done. Not like I didn't care, but it wasn't just a mentality of ownership. It was just okay, my work here is to reduce the Trello board, move everything to the released section. But then it got to a point where I would see issues myself on projects, and I would either work on them immediately, or I would create tasks for them. Of course, still communicate with my team lead that, okay, I saw this error and I've created these tasks for this, or should I create these tasks for this? And unlike before, where I used to wait for them to tell me, okay, Dillion, you can pick this from the board, got to a point where I was the one who would go there and then communicate to my team that, okay, I want to pick this, I want to pick that, I think this should be resolved immediately. So all those kind of things. There was just this participation where I didn't have to wait to be told what to do. I was the one suggesting things to do, or even going ahead to do them on my own. And then the fourth part, now working as a front-end engineer, a front-end developer. When I came into the company, I came in with this knowledge of, okay, I have so much React skills, and I'm going to put all these React skills to good use. I'm going to build so many fancy components, and all of those things. But when I came here, one thing I learned was, when you're a front-end engineer, you can have one domain, you can have one thing you're very good at, but you shouldn't, as an advice, you shouldn't be restricted to just one domain. It shouldn't be something where they introduce a small project involving Angular. There shouldn't be an introduction of a project where there's Angular and then you cannot do anything there. You should be open to learning other things. That was it for me. I was open to seeing how Angular worked, even though Angular is still a battle for me. I was open to seeing how Angular worked. I was open to seeing how Vue worked, and sometimes I was even open to checking out how the backend worked. I mean, there were projects where we had to deal with Amplify and all of these backend technologies. I didn't just leave those tasks because I felt, oh no, that's not React, that's not front end. I mean, that was what I used to do at the beginning, where I would just leave all those ones for the people that are very good in that. But over time, I started wanting to explore those things too. There was a day I went through the backend code and I literally saw how Amplify was used. And yeah, working here, I got to learn that it wasn't just all about React. It wasn't just all about front end. I mean, front end could be your title, but you should also be relevant in other areas. When they're talking front end, I am there to contribute, and when they're talking about CLI tools, talking about Node.js, I should also be there to contribute. So yeah, these are the 4 key things. I mean, there are a lot, like I said. These are the 4 key things I've learned working here at ThisDot, and it's been a year where, looking at how I came in, somebody who really have that professional experience, and then meeting a lot of people all over the country. Yeah, this video, like I said at the beginning, if you're an intern or you're a junior engineer, or you're aspiring to be one junior engineer, I mean, don't take things rush. Don't really rush at things. There's always a time to make mistakes and learn. But these are just parts of my experience that I feel can make anyone a better engineer. The better you are at communicating, the better you are as an engineer. The better you are at participation, taking ownership, the better you are as an engineer. So yeah, that's all the tips from me. If you love this, or if you liked it, or if you found it helpful, kindly subscribe, kindly share.